Good afternoon. It is 5 o'clock here in San Francisco, and I'm sitting down outside, which is a big win as far as I'm concerned. I spent most of the day inside at sessions and at events, and I wanted to reflect on a few things. So first up, I went to a session this morning by someone from SentinelOne. So this guy is an evangelist type of a field role at SentinelOne. And obviously SentinelOne provides EDR type of functionality. The presentation was called The Illusion of Done, Lessons from Zero Trust Missteps for Secure AI Adoption. So obviously you got the Zero Trust buzzword, you got the AI buzzword in there. I liked the presentation. I felt it was a little bit too SOC oriented, and it really didn't touch on the process, the operational side of things from a IT governance perspective. But overall, I thought Matt was a great presenter there, and there were a couple things I wanted to talk about. You know, clearly that AI agents need guardrails, they need kill switches, they need observation because it's such an unproven technology. And there was that one of my observations there was that this type of resilience, he was talking about operational resilience, and that you can't just put technology in place as a checkbox. You have to operationalize it. And he was really talking about operationalizing it in the SOC. My perspective is operationalization has to happen from a governance perspective, because governance, in my mind, is all about getting machine-readable information of whether it's identities or devices and an asset management system, et cetera, that your policies can then read and act upon. And that's how you scale. That's how you provide real value, by building concrete and very focused, very effective zero trust access policies that can operate at scale without manual intervention. So that was a good presentation. Then I went to a vendor presentation on the show floor from Tailscale. Tailscale has some great technology. They provide very focused universal ZTNA access. And one of the use cases they mentioned I thought was really interesting was that they added a capability to actually detect on an endpoint whether OpenClaw was running. And so they actually had it was Claude Code. They had a policy that said, hey, if Claude Code is running on this user's device, we want to block access to these very sensitive resources because they don't trust Claude Code on the end user devices. Who knows what prompts are going to it? So I thought that was a really interesting, good example of a zero trust use case that uses context for a very effective piece. Then I went to a John Kinderbach session. So John, of course, invented Zero Trust. This was about operational technology, and it was called Modernizing OT with Zero Trust. So John, I know John very well, and he talks about the 5-step process and applying it to OT. He was co-presenting with one of the main architects at NVIDIA. So that was a really, really interesting presentation. John, the great 3-word quote is policy is everything. And I'm a big believer of that so much of what we do has to be about zero trust access policies that get enforced in our environment. And then finally, I went to an event that a venture capitalist firm called Decipol that was promoting here, and they interviewed the president and COO of Google Cloud Security Products. So obviously, big influential role at Google. And there were a couple of comments he made that I thought were interesting. One is that the actual strategy from a technical perspective of chaining together AI agents and having each AI agent focus on a very specific task with very constrained authorization capabilities, so that you didn't have to give one super agent access to everything because you're opening the door to significant risk there. Whereas if you have a series of agents that are configured to call each other, that are aware of each other, but each only has very restricted access policies, it's a much constrained problem space and it's much more solvable. The other one is that he noted that the adoption of AI across regulated industries is much, much faster than he's seen in his career. Is that typically you see regulated industries lag behind in terms of technology adoption, but it's actually the reverse for AI, that those industries are embracing AI much faster than we would have expected. So that's a really interesting angle and perspective on this. Finally, his recommendations were that everything is going to be reinvented with AI, and that CISOs really have to be fluent in AI because it is such an impactful technology. So that's my report for the day. I hope that's helpful. Thank you. Stay safe out there and have a good one.